Is this actually broadcasting, or is it? So there's no amplification.
I can. You just have to put a second microphone on you is all.
Nah, I'll just try to speak up.
I think I have a handheld to use if you wanted to.
No. I think this will be good.
You know, I think I know why that crashed. When we were testing it on Chris Barty's computer, he yanked it out without ejecting.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I did that. I have it right here.
Okay, I guess we'll get started. If I could get everyone started. Thank you. So, Rob, can you get some folks in? Maybe there's seats up front in the front row where you get all the questions asked. The test is coming to everyone sitting on the front row. So thank you all very, very much for coming. It's really wonderful that you can come out. I know it's not always the most convenient time, and it's a technical program, so we've got a little bit of hard stuff in here, but I hope most of it will be fun and entertaining. Before we get going, it's really a pleasure. I want to just point out Don Beal, who is here sitting almost in the front row, who has been an inspiration for what we do for so many years and been so encouraging for our work. Both he's passionate about the technology development and really doing excellent technology, but bringing it into the domain of applications in human health. And Don has been very, very encouraging and a critical contributor to our community of technology development and its conversion to important problems in human health. So thank you, Don. I know you missed the last one, and we're just super excited that you're here tonight. So welcome to the Institute, and this is one of the few times I get to illustrate my juggling skills. So that's kind of what I do. That's my job. I'm the director of the Institute and full-time juggler. This is our second Multiple Reflections evening, and we have two featured speakers tonight, Chris Barty and David Kucha. The first one was about a year ago, and it was in celebration of our 30th anniversary, the creation of the Beckman Laser Institute. And we went back and dug a little bit deep and told the story of the Institute and where we came from. Tonight, we'll touch back to some of those themes and look more towards the future. What are our ideas for growth, and how will we progress over the next 30 years? So first, before I get started, this is Gabby Comfort. Gabby is our Director of Development. Where's Gabby? This is her first event. She organized this. It's a friendly crowd, Gabby. It's good. And Aaron Miller, who is our Director of Communications and Outreach and a distinguished Anteater UCI alum, has been with us for a very long time. I can't say how many years. Sari Mann, the Assistant Director of the Institute. Where are you, Sari? So this is our leadership team that's really put this together in partnership with all of our staff, and UCI Advancement has been very generous with their help and their time. The way that we've been able to conceive of getting our message out, they've been incredibly supportive. And of course, more than 200 Laser Institute faculty, staff, and students. We make about 280 appointments per year. It's kind of remarkable how much we've grown over the years. And you'll get a sense of that by listening to the scope of the work, looking at our laser magazine, which is upgraded from newsletter, as Sari has suggested, which means we have to have more of these events, and we need to get more news out into our magazine more often. And that's part of what we're hoping to do. Our faculty is, I'm very proud of the faculty. They truly are brilliant and representing a diverse group of fields from neurosurgery to dermatology to pulmonology and head and neck surgery. So we have clinicians on our faculty. We have basic scientists spanning from biology to physics and everything in between. We have Chris Barty is our newest faculty member who's appointed in the Department of Physics and Astronomy, and you'll hear more from Chris and understand why physics and astronomy actually is relevant to human health and how he'll help develop technologies that are critical for its transformation. We have a brochure, a handout that lists all of our faculty that you can pick up along with the laser magazine as you leave tonight. And it also contains a little bit of information. It may also be even on your seats about some of the key milestones in the development and the history of the Beckman Laser Institute. We actually wouldn't be doing this if it were not for UCI's leadership. And Howard Gilman, Chancellor Gilman, back when he was provost in 2014, came here to a review that was commissioned by the Beckman Foundation, led by Jerry Galwis, former member of the Beckman Foundation for many years. So in a lot of ways, we have Jerry to thank for getting us into this mess in the first place. Thank you, Jerry. So Jerry sat down with, at that time, Provost Gilman, and said we needed to bring in a director of development, get a capital campaign going. We needed university commitment for our hopes to expand the building and to bring new faculty in. And basically, what I've learned over the years, everything that Jerry says actually is right, and it comes to pass. He really somehow was able to foresee that. I don't know if you could have foreseen at the time that Provost Gilman would become Chancellor Gilman, and that they would bring in Enrique Lavernia as provost, who, as an engineer here in mechanical engineering, worked very closely with several of our colleagues, Stuart Nelson in particular, and developed some key enabling technologies which have been very, very important in laser-based therapies for vascular malformations. So, Enrique has the personal knowledge and depth of experience to understand what we're doing, and has initiated an entire provost initiative that we call Convergence Optical Sciences. So with recognition to Chancellor Gilman's passion for convergence. And that's been the launch for this program tonight and several other activities that you'll hear about. So I just want to touch a little bit on the history, and our event last year really went into a lot of detail on this. But I'd like to do this in the context of the UCI trustees are having an event later on this month. And what they asked all the deans and center directors to do was contribute to making of a video. So I'm going to torture you. It was actually very hard for me to do this video. It's only 3 minutes, but it's I think they did a remarkably good job. Made me look way better than I thought ever I could possibly look. So I'm going to show you this video. It goes back to the beginning a little bit and looks towards the future. When I first came to the Beckman Laser Institute, the instrument that I was building took an entire room, and I had to literally climb onto a table in order to align a laser beam. This was a special technology that allowed us to go inside the tissue and see beneath the surface with light. Over the years, we've been able to transform this into a small instrument, compact enough that I was able to bring it in the overhead compartment of an airplane. My name is Bruce Tromberg. I'm Professor of Biomedical Engineering and Surgery in the Beckman Laser Institute at UC Irvine. I came to UCI in 1988 to work specifically with Michael Burns, the co-founder, along with Arnold Beckman. Lasers were impractical in everyday medicine due to their large size, their high cost. Dr. Burns' vision for bringing advanced lasers and optics into medicine was exciting and really spoke to me. In 1988, we had one professor and about 10 people. Now we have 21 professors and more than 200 people, and our field of optics and photonics in medicine has an $80 billion per year commercial impact that includes therapies and many diagnostic medical devices. Even your Apple Watch and Fitbit use optical technologies. I'm very proud of the fact that every major biomedical engineering department in the US, Europe, and Asia has Biophotonics, and many of the people in labs and companies around the world are trained in the Beckman Laser Institute. In addition to research and training, over 90,000 people have been treated in our clinic. We established one of the first incubators in the UC system in the late 1990s. They take our technologies from bench out to bedside. Most of these companies are led by former students and fellows, which gives them an opportunity to stay closely connected with UCI.
I'm J. Stuart Nelson. I'm a professor of surgery and biomedical engineering and the medical director of the Beckman Laser Institute and Medical Clinic. Infants are born with red vascular malformations which slowly become progressively darker and disfiguring. Our group developed a technology that now has enabled the successful treatment of these vascular malformations. This device has now been patented and now been incorporated into more than 25,000 laser systems worldwide and has now become the standard of care for the treatment of vascular birthmarks. The first time we started treating infants and young children with the device, it was very satisfying to show parents the photographs of their children before and after the laser treatment and know that you've had a huge impact on their child's life.
The Beckman Laser Institute is really a unique UCI success story. Established as a visionary public-private partnership in 1982, we've launched the Convergence Optical Science Initiative, COSI, which is our equally bold and imaginative vision for the next 30 years. UCI has made a substantial investment in bringing in new, talented academic leaders who will create cutting-edge technologies. We need your help in unlocking these discoveries and ideas by partnering with us to move them out of our labs for broader dissemination to the clinic and the marketplace. To make this happen, we need to renovate and create new space in the Beckman Laser Institute. Our 30-year-old building was designed for cutting-edge technologies in the 1980s, and we must modernize and expand our facilities while preserving our special balanced culture under one roof. With your help, we can ensure that our unique 30-year UCI success story will have a sequel, and we can continue to produce truly impactful technologies and discoveries for generations to come.
That's pretty good. That's amazing. So you see why they do what they do, and they do it very well. It's really, it's an honor, and it's remarkable to be part of this incredible expansion in optics and photonics technologies. This is a fairly recent National Research Council, National Academies report that has estimated that optics and photonics overall is about a $3 trillion a year industry in the US. What we do in biophotonics is capture many of these technologic advances and bring them into the domain where they're impactful in human health. And our vision is really fairly straightforward. We'd like to take basic science and technologies and bring them directly into clinical diagnostics and therapeutics. But the challenge is, although this appears to be a straight line on my block diagram here, it's actually, the reality is that there are many twists and turns. It's a very, very tortuous path. It's really easy to get stuck in minima and not ever get to our destination. What we've kind of figured out and developed over the years here in the Institute is a model where we can bring in enabling technologies, technologies that are fundamentally transformational and can make new things happen. Combine them with clinical champions. So this is an absolutely critical combination. Without the clinical champions, we just play around in the laboratory and really never get anywhere with these technologies in terms of their impact in human health. So this has been a very successful formula that's helped us reduce barriers and get new technologies into clinical diagnostics and therapeutics. But there's one missing component, a missing ingredient, and that's forming community partnerships. And really for the first time with the establishment of applied innovation and with UCI growing and sort of stretching with its 50 years and commenting, to everyone about the 50th anniversary of UCI being one of the top ranked universities in the world under 50 years, with new leadership with Chancellor Gilman and Provost Lavernia, there's been increased recognition of the need to outreach and partner with the community, not just in a fairly superficial way, as in fundraising events and things like this, but to truly engage in this activity to get these concepts out of our laboratories and move them out into clinics, into companies, into new discoveries and products that will be beneficial for not only our region, but for the entire country. So let me speak a little bit about community partners. You have on your chair a new concept that Gabby has been developing. It's called, well, we've had a few names. Light, Leaders in Light Society, could be Light Brigade, I don't know. But we're sticking with Leaders in Light Society. And this society has a number of features to it that we're very excited about and proud of. It's not just sort of a typical type of support group where you might affiliate. It's a kind of support group where you'll receive benefits through that affiliation that are related to these types of outreach activities. So the goal is really to get as many people in our community to join and participate in this, to engage in these kinds of events and form networks that are going to be important in driving and facilitating new discoveries and new technologies and moving them out of our laboratories. So the goal really, as we're talking about, is to accelerate the transformation of these discoveries out of the laboratory benchtop and to the patient bedside. So it's a new concept that we're introducing, and if that's not exciting enough, there are other things that are happening at UCI that are important for us to communicate that not everyone knows about. So everyone is very familiar with the idea that our landscape is changing all the time. UCI kind of affectionately is under construction indefinitely. But there are some really, really big changes, major forces that are at work that are in very close proximity to us that are making what we're doing right now even more important and timely. So first of all, here we are, and I think you're familiar with the $200 million gift that was announced by the Samueli Foundation. So before the $200 million gift, Henry Samueli has committed a significant amount of money. There will be $90 million, both from the state of California and the Samueli Foundation, for building a Samueli Center for Convergence Science. So this center is going to be very, very close to us. It will house many, many new faculty. It will house entirely new concepts and ideas that will be stimulated in this Convergence Science Center. And many of the activities in that center will involve optics and photonics and our faculty. A second major transformational event will be the $100 million Susan Samueli Center for Integrative Medicine. So with this triangle, so to speak, across Bison and across Peltison, we're going to have a completely different shape and fabric to the campus, something that is truly very, very different than what we've already had. And then to top all of this off, we're expecting that applied innovation will also expand, and we've partnered with Applied Innovation in creating dedicated space for the Beckman Laser Institute, 10,000 square feet of space that will be for optics and photonics technologies. So embedded in that space, Chris Barty will be in that space. We're hoping that other commercialization efforts that are coming from the BLI will also be there. There's going to be an entirely different fabric, which will be modulated in part by the presence of companies. So Lumitron already, and Chris will talk about this, has leased space in this very close together network. So the fabric of the campus as we know it is about to change. Optics and photonics are transforming as we see it. BLI has helped change this landscape and helped drive many of these events. We're a model that is being adopted now campus-wide, this multi-integrated model. But not just the campus, we're a model that's being adopted around the world. If you look at other academic centers in Europe and Asia, they're integrating technology development, commercialization, and clinical translation all under one roof, as we have done. So we're kind of at an inflection point in time. There's been substantial reinvestment by the campus. There's this expected growth that will be occurring in optics and photonics. And there is already investment that's being brought into the Institute that's really quite unique. So just over the last year, we've seen this major investment of the Convergence Optical Science Initiative with 6 faculty positions, and Chris Barty is the lead hire in this. We've seen a $1.75 million gift from the Arnold and Mabel Beckman Foundation, which UCI has matched to help expand and renovate our facilities. Our nonprofit foundation has pledged a $1 million gift for the establishment of a laser microbeam lab in honor of Dr. Burns, our co-founder. And as I mentioned before, we have 10,000 square feet of new space that will go in applied innovation in partnership with them. So all of these things are happening, and if that's not evidence enough, I asked Deb Burney to help me with putting together slides from all of our companies that have come together over the years. And originally I intended to just show slides from each company, but everyone has come out of the woodwork. We have 12 logos This is more than double the number of companies that we had about a year ago. Many of these are new. Many of these are very hopeful. Some of them are quite well established, as David will tell you about his company and OCT Medical, which have been around for quite some time. But I think this is a very, very good sign of what's to come and the potential. There is no reason, there are 12 companies here. There's no reason why we can't have 20 or more. And this would be a cluster of optics and photonics, of biophotonics, that would be the strongest in the country, perhaps the strongest in the world. So this is our aspirational goal. This is why we've asked you here tonight. And to help kick this off, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, because in terms of opportunities for really transforming so many different things by a fundamentally enabling technology, there is no better example than what Chris is doing. So Chris is a professor in physics and astronomy. He's a professor in the Department of Surgery. He just started in July 1, so he's pretty new, but he's hit the ground running. His company, Lumitron Technologies, is already incubating space over here in our research park. Chris is not only, he triple majored as an undergrad, so super impressive, physics, chemistry, and chemical engineering, and he did his Ph.D. at Stanford in physics, applied physics. Previously, he was head of the National Ignition Facility at Lawrence Livermore National Lab. So for those of you laser aficionados, that is the biggest laser in the world. It's the size of a football stadium. But Chris has been able to take his technologies from that huge, huge operation and bring them down to a much smaller scale so that they're practical and relevant, and I think going to be hugely important for our future of transforming these technologies in human health. So Chris, you're going to come up, and you can see I got some informal shots. Chris likes to do off-roading with his four-wheel drive vehicle, which you can see all over campus. You know it's Chris. Hiking. This is a theme that you'll run into with many scientists these days. He's an aficionado of a variety of different beers. I think this one comes from Germany. Yes. And diving. And so with that, let's welcome Chris Barty.